Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Captain's Vlog, where we learn how to sail the seas of life. Or, excuse me, we learn how to navigate the seas of life. Working on it, working on it. Hope everybody's doing well. It's a great day outside. It's starting to get hot. It's about to become summer. Whew. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about a couple things. First, right, moving into the future paradigm, right? We got a lot of different things going on, coming down off all that jabby stuff, right? The world is in general turmoil, I guess, as it normally is at this point, right? All these past things are coming to the present and the future, along with, older knowledge of ancient civilizations and things, right? Talking about aliens, right? There's so many different things, right, going on for real, right? But first and foremost, know that for this part, for everything I'm about to talk about, none of that shit matters. I say that because right now, right, we need to move into the future paradigm. Just in general, right? Everybody who wishes to live a great life, do things a better way, have actual fun, right? Not consistently scared out of their face, right? That's a hard thing to do, right? Especially if you watch the news, right? Maybe you've had a lot of trauma in your life, right? Maybe you've, right, stay around negative people or negative things, right? For whatever reason, no judgment. No judgment. Oh. Oh. Okay, I got it. Yeah, just some things sticking in my feet out here in the backyard. But anyway, right? So, alongside all these other things, right? Of course, money's changing. Right? We got crypto and meta and digital stuff and futures and all these other different technical elements and NFTs and all these different things, right? But even still, at this moment, none of that matters. It doesn't matter. Only for a moment, though. So, right, one thing I wanted to talk about in particular that pertained to me a lot, that I believe could help someone out here is, right, past pains or traumas and different things like that, right? Because now, at least now I know it's come to my attention that, right, when you go through some very traumatic things as a child, right, in your life, this shit actually sticks to you depending on how traumatic it was. I mean, trauma, period, right? The fact that we're talking about trauma, right, it stuck to you, right? And that, right, will cause you to think differently, right, to act differently beyond knowing yourself, because shit, I didn't know, right? I didn't know I was acting all crazy and all strange and very fearful, right, until I began to realize, right, getting into these newer paradigm things and new to me knowledge, right, stuff that was already there, I guess, right, but hidden, and no one's gonna tell you who you are and all this other stuff, right? Just a whole bunch of craziness, right? But the main point is, though, right, all of these different traumas and things, right, that have made you who you are at the moment, right, that have, I guess, doctored you or moved you in a way where you made the decisions the way you make them, right? No judgment, right? It is what it is. But in order to move into this new paradigm, right, you got to figure out how to weaponize these things. Oh, that's right, I said it. You got to figure out how to weaponize these things. What do I mean by that? It seems like they use the weapons on me, right? True, fair, right? Fair is fair with what that is, right? But more so, right, starting to talk and lean more in towards the idea of art, right? The idea of coming with a certain work or a way to get into your own way of life, right? Your own type of lifestyle, right? as to what you want to go for, right? And we all know, right? All the pretty, shiny, expensive shit costs money, don't it? Right? But shit, what is money at this point? But furthermore, right? And the way to do that in the best way, right? You know, be it if you want to speak about, you know, your personal truths, right? Or your intellectual properties of a certain sort, right? You know, this idea of value, right? For me, I personally, I don't even really understand, right, my own value, to be honest, right? I say it like it is, right? Because for the longest while, right, I was under the mindset of so much trauma from what had happened to me, right? How, right, certain people treated me, right? Getting molested, getting abused as a child, right? Sexually abused by my, like all this dumb shit, right? Just for what it is, right? I'm not afraid of it anymore, so I'm just gonna speak it, right? Because for the longest time, I refused to speak my own truth, right? Within all of these different things that were, right? I was trying my best. I kept kind of edging around things. Didn't know what to say, but turns out you just take that shit and you say it, right? That's why I'm talking about weaponizing things, right? Weaponizing this type of stuff. And this means, right, using these things as power more so than, you know, staying stuck, keep getting messed up by it, keep falling into bad habits, or keep hurting your own self because of what you believe, because of the trauma that makes you feel the way you feel, right? And for me, what I ended up figuring out was that, you know, looking at it mentally, right? Because technically it's all mental, right? As far as how you think because of things, right? Within my mind personally, right, I was very afraid. I was very sad, right? I thought about taking a lot of things out on myself, even when I didn't even have to. I didn't even need to, right? It's like at times when I was just fine, right? Or could have been just fine, right? I'm over here sad, right? I'm missing out on, you know, being around people who care about me, you know, friends, and, you know, just saying no a lot, right? To a lot of different things. And yet, even still, right, alongside all the trauma and shit, right, I'm the only one missing out on my life, right? Everybody else done moved on. All the people who messed me up and did whatever, right, they done moved on, right? Because I couldn't protect myself, right? I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know what they were doing would cause to me. I didn't know any of it, right? The point I'm trying to make, though, is now for me, right, I have chosen to move forward in life in my own paradigm, right? In my own way I wish to be, in the way that I live, because as far as I can tell, ain't nobody really around here that gave a shit about how I felt or how that affected me, right? They were just doing what they were doing, right? Then they moved on after whatever, right? But I was just stuck, right? Mentally stuck, right? Trying to process a lot, right? Still a lot of trauma, a whole lot of shit like that, right? But to the point, right? Right now, right? Weaponizing this type of shit, right? First and foremost, to do this, you have to realize that none of that shit was your fault. Period, right? None of that shit that happened to you that other people just wanted to cause to you for whatever reason that they had, right, was your fault. They chose to do that to you because they chose to do it to you. It took me a while to really realize that part, and it's like, damn, that's just... And I guess it makes sense, it's obvious, but it's like, damn, right? It simply is what it is, right? Because, like, I feel like after all of this, right, and all I did was give love, all I did was help out as many people as possible, all I did was do all this, right? And I still got shitted on for it, right? That's not fair, right? That's not fair, right? And then they moved on with their life, and I'm still over here falling apart, right? At least I was, right? At least I was, right? But first, after realizing that none of that shit was your fault, right? Because the more you keep thinking like highly emotionally that things were your fault, or right, oh, I did that, I caused that, it was clearly me, right? The more you bring upon that bad feeling, right? And of course, it's induced by trauma, right? And then for me, I was just stuck in it, right? I was at the point where I thought pain was love. I thought pain was yeah, that's how I'm supposed to be, right? Because I deserved all that shit. I didn't deserve any of that shit, period. Period, right? And that's how you gotta see it too, right? Say to yourself, I ain't deserve any of that shit, period. Fuck out of here, right? That's the way you gotta see it, right? And if you can't really feel that, right, or if you feel blank when you think that or say that, right, you have to reinforce it to yourself, especially if you know it's true, right? That's why you have to lean off of yourself. Lean off of yourself from believing that shit, right? It's hard, it's difficult. No lie, it was for me. But that's what it is, right? Let the school bus pass. Whew. Sun is out today. It's really nice. The trees. Hit the trees. Hit the trees. Yeah, so just letting the school bus pass, right? Right now, right, I look at these things as, right, they did all of these things to me because of their lack of love for their own self, right? So some of these people, some are just sick-minded. Some just do it because they think it's funny, right? Others do it because they got problems, right? I guess that's the same as sick-minded. But anyway, right? They did all these things to me, right? And all I was Mr. Helper, right? All I was the punching bag. All I was the one no one really gave a fuck or had an afterthought about if they gave a shit, right? And that's one thing, right? It was hard for me to even begin to start to feel like that, right? Feel or think like this, right? Where it's like, well, right, I know what happened. I guess I didn't fully want to be honest with the fact that that's why they did that. It had to be me. It had to be something I did. No. And just like I'm sure in a lot of other cases, right? They did that for whatever reason they did it for. But all in all, they was just some assholes. They was just some jackasses, right? Because if you really know you didn't deserve that, and you really know that they did that shit to you, and you really know that that shit hurt, right? You don't deserve to treat yourself like that, right? And then right on the other side of all that, right? All the fear, right? All the fear. That sucks, right? That illusionary thing that seems so real at the time, right? Well, first and foremost, right? I want you to think about this, right? Any fear that you felt in different situations, right? Or if right, just out of nowhere, you just got like extremely fearful or something like that, right? I want you to think of it like this. All that fear is literally my power or my confidence just turned against me, right? So I want you to think of the magnitude of the fear that you had in those situations is actually your confidence just turned against you, right? Your own power turned against you because of what they did, right? Because they made you really think that it was your fault, right? Or it had to be you. It had to be something with you, right? So think of it like, in those situations, if I have as much confidence as the fear that I had, right? How would that situation have changed, right? Basically taking that very fearful feeling and flipping it to absolute confidence, right? Fully, right? Because it's just your power turned against you, since fear is an illusion, right? It doesn't actually exist, right? False evidence appearing real, right? When you start to think like that, right? You realize if they were able to make me feel like that, right? I can feel just as confident, if not more confident, than the way they made me feel, right? That's the first step, right? And then the other part, right? Think about why they would do that to you. Not necessarily say, oh, it's getting their mind. Oh, clearly, right? But, I mean, I came to the point and thought that they saw something in me that they thought that they didn't have for themselves, right? Right, some type of feeling or emotion or being free of certain thought or idea, right, in that type of instance, right? You know, and then right there's just the anomaly. Some niggas just think it's funny, you know. Some people just think it's funny to do shit like that. Some people think it's funny just to molest children. I ain't with that, right? But anyway, whew, give me some scratches around here. Anyway, right? Right? Or maybe they saw some attribute that you couldn't see of yourself for yourself, right? Something like that that made them want to mess with you, or they had to get at you about that, right? Because they're trying to project their bullshit onto you because they don't feel how they think that you felt, even though maybe you didn't even see it. Probably were dumb as a brick to it. No disrespect, I'm just saying, right? I know I was dumber than a damn log towards all of this. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not calling myself dumb. I just didn't know. And when you don't know, right, you're just susceptible to everything you do not know within whatever situation you don't know that's bad, right? If you don't know, you don't know, right? There's no way around it. There's no oh that was clearly obvious. If it's not to you in that situation and you couldn't do anything about it, you didn't know. You couldn't do nothing, right? Right? Point I'm trying to make is though, right? Can't be blaming yourself about other people's misconduct and their lack of love, right? And their just mean, negative words and pain that they want to give you, right? First and foremost, right, after really knowing that it wasn't your fault, right, then you got to start to step into brain fart, come on now. Well, I'm sure it'll come back to me, right? You got to, oh, there it is, right? You've got to know that you can protect yourself. You can repel that bullshit that they want to try and push at you for whatever reason, right? Because you don't have to take that, right? For the longest time, that was the hardest thing for me to grasp. You don't have to sit there and take that bullshit. Because they want to be an asshole. I didn't cause anything, but they want to bring me all that grief, all that shit, right? I don't have to take that, right? And I mean from anybody, right? Anybody trying to give you grief or bullshit about something that you didn't cause or have anything to do with, right? Or if people are just being negative, right? You ain't gotta take that shit, right? It was so hard for me for the longest time, right, to believe that, to even know that I could say something to push that away from me or combat that shit, right? It was just stuck, right? And yeah, for those of you that have had to go through some crazy shit and you're unsure, right? Oh, it's fair. It's more than fair. It's more than fair because energy nowadays is very important. Very important, right? Very important. I was one who held a whole lot of negative energy for a whole lot of assholes, right? And the craziest part is I didn't even know that this was going on, right? I didn't even know that this negative ass energy was sticking to me like a fucking band-aid with super glue on it or some shit. Right? And when you don't know, you're susceptible to all that you don't know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at the trees. Right. Right. You can protect yourself, right? And you need to be able to protect yourself in a couple different ways, right? Mentally, right? I know maybe I'm pointing at my skull and my brain, right? Because the mind is infinite. You can't really see your mind except when you imagine, right? Mentally, spiritually, and physically, right? The main parts you need to be able to protect yourself from, because Nowadays, after really realizing that there's just a whole lot more shit, and it gets very, very scary to say the least, right? Just, walking into a whole bunch of knowledge and learning about all these different things that have been going on beyond my knowledge, right? I came from the point where shit, I was just trying to get a Mustang, and all of a sudden the whole world is fucking torn apart. Everything is fucking evil. It's all a lot, like all this different shit, right? I'm just being clear focused from how I see it and how the things came to me, right? It's like, just to know that the whole world is fucked up, and then the fact that I got fucked up so much, and right, all of these different factors, right? But the thing is, don't matter at the moment, right? Because the idea is that, right, choose to live, choose to go about your life. You can figure out each and everything that you need to figure out to get yourself in a better position, right? That's why, right, you gotta lean off of yourself about believing that it was your fault. You have to believe into yourself that you know you can handle these situations, that you can repel their bullshit if they want to bring it to you. That no matter who it is, right? Mama, daddy, some lame nigga that wanted to say that he was your friend, right? Just turned around and bullshitted you and then had the nerve to bitch at you about some shit that you didn't even cause. Right? No, like, you don't deserve to take that, period, right? So you distance yourself. Distance yourself from that, right? Know that you are worthy of taking care of your own self, right? You are worthy of living. You have so much more to live for. Ooh. How long that been there? Ew. Anyway. Right? And then back to weaponizing it, right? The fact that you didn't see the attributes or things that these people wanted to attack you for, or right, just the random anomalies, the ones who just do what they do because they think it's funny, right? Right? That's where your power starts to come in at, right? And emotionally, you have to push towards feeling great about the things that you do, right? The help that you gave, the love that you gave, the energy that you gave to all these people who couldn't really give a shit, right? Because that's where a lot of your power sits, right? And emotionally, you're just blank with it, because I know I was, at least. I mean, that's how it feels for me, or felt for me, right? You're just blank at that point, right? Oh, the scratch. Right? But get into that power, right? See what it is that you were into, right? Before, right, everything may have come crashing down, and right, you just lost focus on a whole lot of things. You lost interest on a whole lot of things, right? Within your own self, right? Or the things that you used to get into, or were so into, or happy to do, right? Because of all this shit that they wanted to give you, right? And then you kind of compounded it, right, by believing it, unfortunately, right? Right, you go through pain and trauma, right? It makes you register that, no, I definitely don't want that shit ever again, so I'm gonna do what it takes to stay the fuck away from that, right? And what you, I guess, instinctually think about, right? Maybe not consciously, but instinctually think about to stay the fuck away from that, right? Because it seemed like every time you tried to do good or going well, right, then shit wanted to attack you, right? So then you just think that maybe I just need to stay away from doing anything that does greater for me, right? And you got to change that to, now I'm running towards the things that I like to do that are making me great and greater, right? And now protecting myself all the way through, because I can find the knowledge, I can feel it, I can heal myself, I can do better for myself, irregardless of how they want it to act, right? Right? It takes time, right? Here's why meditation helps a lot, right? Being calm, right? So I look at it like this, right? The things that I had to go through had emasculated me so much, right? To the point where I was basically incapable of doing anything as a man, to so to speak, right? Or feel like a man, or think like a man, and that's what I am. I'm a male, at least, right? At least, right? I choose to make myself into a man, right? From the example I didn't get from my father, right? But I choose to create and craft that. Yeah, I'm standing in the shade. It's a little hot out there. Yeah, a little hot out here. But right, because I choose to believe that I can craft and create myself, my habits, each and everything that is needed for me to live a well life, including my health, right? Because I'm one, now that I realize it, right, I did a whole lot of eating. Eater indeed. Oh man. But I didn't realize, up until recently, that that was due to a lot of trauma, right? Eating certain foods, right? Or really consistently eating certain foods, right? Ain't no problem with a burger here and there, I'll be honest. I ain't mad at it. It is what it is, right? But right, it's the continuance, right? The consistent habit basis that you may utilize, right? Oh, them scratches. Right, that really start to compound and mess things up, right? Furthering the trauma, furthering the bad thoughts and things, because right, your first mind, which is your stomach, right, full of meat, full of dead things, right, full of stuff that tasted good in the moment, right? Because the food ain't gonna sit there and beat the shit out of you. Oh, but I guess technically, yeah, it will. Right, just by too much, right? Because life is about balance, right? You must have a great balancing act, right? But okay, right, now that we covered that, right, greatest thing to now do is focus on those habits, right? But this stuff takes a lot of positive thinking about self. And yes, you are worthy. Yes, it is worth it. It is worth it, right? Just think about it, right? While you're sitting here feeling sad and feeling like absolute who knows what at this point, right? Because all that shit in your past, and you keep thinking about it and replaying it and keep asking why, right? Everybody else done moved on with this shit, right? Everybody just kind of doing what they do, right? Doing whatever it is that they do, right? And meanwhile, you're the one unfortunately stuck in that type of shit, right? It takes a lot of positive thinking, a lot of thinking toward what it is you would like, right? So when you think toward it, right, the more you tend to attract things like that, right? Right, so with your habits, right, eat a lot better, right? I choose to look at it as this. I don't really see myself becoming a vegan, to be honest. But I do see myself eating predominantly more fruits and vegetables, just overall, right? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, herbs, so all the better things that you should be putting into yourself to help you have better mental clarity, right? To help clear yourself of, all the toxins and things that you may have intaken and gone about, right? And all these different things, right? And one thing for me, right, I had to pull back, right? Because I kept trying to start earlier, right? I kept trying to be at it, right? To eat better, to do these things, to do this and that, right? But then, right, because I believed so much that I didn't deserve it, right? I just go back to eating shit and go back to smoking a whole bunch of Black and Milds, go back to smoking sick, like just, I'll keep going back into what it was I was doing because of my situation, right? And it takes time, right? It's balance, right? It's balance. So like I said, right, a burger or two ain't gonna be it ain't a problem, right? But right, consistently just eating burgers is a problem, right? Or whatever it is you eat, like whatever it is, that favorite food, that taste palette that you have that you love and enjoy so much, right? Right now you have to do for self, right? Do better for yourself because you know that you deserve it, right? Keep working your mind around it. Know that things are gonna get better, right? And then this part really is to my artists out there, or really anybody, right? Weaponizing this shit in your mind, right? Put that shit into your work, your art, right? Come up with the greatest ass shit, right? Just because they wanted to mess you up, right? Come up with the most awesome and excellent, elegant, eloquent, opulent type of shit just to spite them and they negative shit, right? Because that's the way it's gotta be, right? Because you didn't deserve that. You took all that shit. You gave them help and love. Fuck them. Don't matter who it is. Fuck them, right? And for me, I used to care so much about what other people thought, right, of myself, right? and just in general, right? Because I didn't want anybody to be sad. I just wanted everybody to be happy, right? Not a bad thought to have, but it just turns out that everybody ain't gonna be happy, right? Everybody ain't gonna, right, be happy because you're doing things, right? Because some people just mad because, oh, now he want to do that. Now he want to be a kind dude and do all this different shit. And it's like, what the fuck, right? And you're just doing what you think is right, right? Because trust to believe that someone will always find ways to be mad at you or have something negative to say, right? I mean, just because, right, maybe you're feeling happy, you step out the house today, you wearing your favorite red shirt or whatever, right? Wearing your coolest ass hat that you think is cool. They can be like, man, oh, they're wearing that hat. Man, who wears hats like that? And then what they gonna do, turn around and go get that hat. Right? Because now, right, you gotta see it as, this shit funny. This shit kind of funny, actually, right? They was all mad at me for just doing what I thought was right. And they wanted to fuck me up when I was defenseless, right? Because they cowardice, right? Or just saying mean, hurtful shit, right? For whatever reason, right? You gotta look at it as this shit kind of funny, actually, right? Because I had no fucking clue, right, about anything else than what I think I was doing. I feel like I was one who was so just empty-minded, kind of just walking around just doing what I thought was right, right? I didn't have a clue about how they felt, about what they were thinking, right? I was just trying to do the right thing because I thought it was the right thing to do, right? Shit funny, right? But of course, right, you can't see it, right? Being so hurt, being so traumatized. You can't really see that shit when, you know, you're feeling so much of that shit, right? But that's why the thing is, the most important part about life for you as a living being is self-mastery, right? Meaning self-development, meaning growing yourself, meaning doing for you. Red Porsche just drove by. I'm sorry, I'm a car fanatic. Anyway, right? Meaning doing for you, right? Because that's what's most important, right? That's technically what they wanted to stop you from, right? That's why they wanted you to feel bad, because they didn't want you to keep being that happy, helpful, kind person that you are. That shit's sad. It is. That is some sad ass shit that's what they decided, right? But hey, right? Other part is you gotta let that go, because then at the beginning of it, right, since it wasn't your fault, right, why hold that, right? Seems like, yeah, but they did it to me, right? The thing is, but it wasn't because of what, well, it wasn't because of what you did to actually, like, truthfully bring that upon you. That's because they chose that to bring towards you for whatever reason, right? Shit ain't right. Shit ain't fair. And you don't deserve to see yourself as one who is a loser or a failure because them niggas couldn't get their shit together, right? Here's one example from my life, right? So, I just recently had to see my father, or I just call him that nigga again, right? Because wasn't no damn father. Turns out he was a spineless fucking wimp, right? But here's the story, right? So, I had to see him again because I was helping out my niece, right? And having conversation with him, right? Of course, right, had to hold my shit together, right? So I didn't want to bother my niece because she seemed like she was not good with the situation either, right? But in conversation, right, this man said out of his own mouth, right, he had many opportunities to work for himself, right? As in, people had actually told him, right, in the business he was in or whatever he was doing at the time, right, that he could make a serious amount of money doing certain things, whatever, right? And he simply chose not to, right? He chose not to, right? He chose not to sit there and strive for himself. He chose not to do for himself. He chose to do whatever else, right? And what this meant to me, right? He beat my ass like a rabid fucking animal all my young life, right? He emasculated me. He treated me like shit. He did all of these things because he chose to fail himself. Because he chose to not get up there and work on some opportunities that he had in front of him, right? I had to take his doubt and failure, right? I had to take all that abuse because he didn't get his shit together, right? And boy, he better be happy that I was slow with figuring shit out at the time, because that shit enraged me when I figured that part out, right? Because he chose to fail himself, I got my ass kicked. He told me I ain't shit and I won't ever be shit in life, that I'm a failure. Because he chose to fail himself, right? But that only goes back to the point I was making earlier, right? Some people, right, have such hate for their own selves, right? Such disdain for their own selves, so they want to take it out on somebody else to make them feel better, right? And of course, right, as a child, all you really would give your parents is love, right? Shit didn't matter to him. But hey, right? Whole point I'm saying is, right, people have their shitty ass reasons for why they do what they do, right? When figuring this shit out, right, maybe it'll make you mad. It made me very mad. But I'm gonna look at it like this. It made me mad enough to want to really change my life, right? To make me want to be the man that I wish to become instead of whatever the fuck he became, right? Because he ain't nothing but a weak, spineless wimp, right? He ain't asked me about my mama, right? Who sly thinks of him sometimes when she sees me, right? And I get them backhanded comments and words, right? Even though all I want to do is help mama, right? He ain't asked me about how I'm doing in my life, right? He ain't asked me shit. He didn't care. He ain't had nothing to say, right? But hey, that's just him, right? That's just life, right? And a lot of the time I started to really think, did this shit really happen? Because I'm just in so much mental turmoil and I don't know where anything is going anymore. And I'm just like, I don't know, right? Did this shit even happen, right? But then I thought, right, for him to act like that while I was there, right, when he had all the time in the world to talk to me, to speak to me, to clear things up, to do anything, right? And I wasn't even mad, right? Just trying to have normal conversation for whatever that was at that point, right? Just trying to hold the shit down, right? Right? He didn't say anything. He said nothing, right? He kept acting strange. He kept being vague, right? It just was what it was, right? So that lets me know, yeah, all of this shit did happen. I didn't just imagine it. Because I sure was in a world of hurt for a long ass while and not knowing why, right? And then remembering all them damn ass whoopings, right? That were really just hate based. Because he chose to be a failure, right? But I'm going to say, like, this was also a lesson to me of this is why I must push forward, right? Because personally, I refuse to sit there and hurt someone else who had nothing to do with a decision that I made, right? I refuse to sit there and explode at anybody, hurt anybody who does not deserve it, right? Ergo, my situation.